69 months.
Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers the importance of dash cams and features 2 videos from the channels of Tigger Maddie and Sean Chabajan. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Before we get into the episode, many viewers have asked for recommendations for dash cams. I personally...
Guys, this is it's his old videos. Should we give it a try or not? Should we? It's good.
Use the Blackview DR900S 2-channel IR model, along with the 4K Ultra HD front-facing camera, which features a full resolution of over 8 million pixels. The 2-channel package also includes a wide-angle infrared interior camera, which can maintain excellent recording quality in extremely low light conditions. This package includes built-in GPS, allows you to download cloud service, report interactions. This first video comes to us from Tigger Maddie's channel and shows Miss Maddie test driving a vehicle from her husband's car lot where she is stopped by a
Guys, his voice, guys, I like the new guy better. Is one good or not?
Happy 29 months xQcOW. Pagman.
Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers pretextual stops, reasonable suspicion, and canine units, and is brought to us by Real World Police's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. On October 3rd, 2018, officers Goodling and Glatthorn of the Orlando Police Department pulled over graphic designer Kareem Spalding while driving in Orlando, Florida for allegedly speeding and changing lanes in an intersection. Mr. Spalding stopped his vehicle, and Officer Goodling approached on the driver's side, while Officer Glatthorn approached on the passenger side.
What's up, man? Roll your window up, down. Roll your window down. All the way down. All the way down. Roll all your windows down. Thank you, sir. You got your driver's license, registration, insurance for me? Hey, before you go reaching around, you have any guns in the car? Hey, turn the car off. Turn the car off. Turn the car off. No. Turn the car off. Undo your seatbelt. Why are you reaching around so crazy like that? I asked you to do one thing, you start getting all fidgety, man. Step out of the car for me, bud.
Go ahead and step out, bud.
Yo, guys, listen, I don't consent to this.
Listen, step out, man. You're not in trouble right now. You're just acting. You're acting all funny. That's all.
You're starting to reach for things. You're looking at me. You're nervous. You're starting to roll your window back up when I ask you to roll it down.
Oh, y'all got guns and everything.
Did you see guns in my hand, sir?
Guys, I'm recording.
That's fine. We're recording you too. Go ahead and step out, okay? He asked you to step out. You're shaking.
Step out.
Step out of the car, sir. Step out of the car for me. Step out of the car for me, sir. Step out of the car.
Guys, I know this guy knows she's probably gonna say it, but I feel like at this point, I feel like a court would never find that this guy that they had probable cause or something whatever to get him out of the car and detain him like that.
Man, y'all can't be
Step
serious.
out of the car for me. Step out of the car.
What is
Step
wrong
out of
with
the
y'all?
car.
You need to, all you have to do is follow instructions.
You're not in trouble, okay? Just relax. Turn around. Do you have anything on you?
Guys, I don't consent.
Do you have anything? Stop reaching. Do you have anything on
I
you?
don't consent to searches, man.
Okay.
What is this?
We're just patting you down.
You're not in trouble right now, okay?
Relax.
Y'all can't be serious. Y'all see this?
You're acting funny, man. There's no reason for you to act like this.
In order to pat them down, they need to have at least a reasonable suspicion, a crime, blah blah blah. You guys know the fucking drill, right?
Would you consider unbanning me too?
Is there anything
do.
illegal in the
It's
car,
been
sir?
like 2
Guys,
years or
I don't consent to
STH.
search.
It is true.
Listen, I'm not asking you to search the car right now. I'm asking if there's anything illegal in the vehicle.
I don't answer the question.
You don't,
Where's your license, bud? Listen, you're not in any kind of trouble right now.
Not
We're trying
correct.
to find out who you are.
This is correct. They didn't have the right to get him out of the car. They had the right to give him any orders at all. They get to conduct a traffic stop, right? Within the fair range or whatever. There's nothing that they said that they were allowed to make him do. Not in a normal traffic stop, unless they have a reasonable suspicion or probable cause. They don't have either, and our court would never find that they could do this ever. You're just
You're
weird.
just shaking. You're acting funny.
I want names and badge numbers.
He wasn't
Okay,
acting
we're
funny.
gonna get that for
Our
you,
court would
bud.
never find
We'll
it was
get
acting
that
funny.
Hey,
Guys,
what's your name?
Otherwise, cops will go to any traffic stops and it'll say, he's acting funny, get him out. Acting funny, get him out. And they have a pattern of acting funny. It's not a recourse that they can use all the time if there's not at least something that I can say that acting funny. I wasn't acting funny. What the fuck are you talking about?
Would you like to know why I stopped you so you understand why we're stopping you?
Don't you think you should have did that when you...
You didn't give me a chance to because you started reaching around. You're making me nervous. I want to make sure that you go home safely and we go home safely. That's the key to this whole thing, okay?
Oh, come on now.
No, listen. The reason I stopped you is back on John Young in Washington, or John Young in Old Winter Garden, you switched lanes in the middle of the intersection. You cannot do that, number one. Number two, my vehicle's properly calibrated. I had you going 51 in a 35-mile-an-hour zone, all right? I don't want to stroke your tickets, bud. I really don't, all right? But if you're going to force me to do it, I have no problem doing it, all right? We're looking for narcotics. We're looking for firearms, all right? I'm not sitting here looking to stroke you for a speeding ticket and the illegal lane change. I'm not looking to do that.
You pulled me over because you're looking for narcotics.
No.
What?
I pulled you over for your 2 traffic infractions, okay? That's it.
What's your first name?
But when you start acting weird, now I'm sitting there going, well, what's he have on him? Because that's consistent with me.
Officer Goodling informs Mr. Spaulding that although they pulled him over for 2 minor traffic offenses, what they are actually interested in is finding narcotics and firearms. In the 1973 case of United States versus Robinson, the Supreme Court concluded that a traffic violation arrest based on probable cause would not be invalidated by the fact that it was a pretext for a narcotics search. Building on that decision, the court clarified in the 1996 case of Wren versus United States that an officer's subjective motive does not invalidate objectively justifiable behavior under the Fourth Amendment, and that the constitutional reasonableness of traffic stops does not depend on the actual motivations of the individual officers involved. Because the officers had probable cause to believe that the traffic code had been violated, the court held that the stop was reasonable under the Fourth Amendment, despite any potential ulterior motive the officers had in making the stop.
Fair enough.
Because, quote, subjective intentions play no role in ordinary probable cause Fourth Amendment analysis.
Yeah, guys, we're not there yet. Okay, stop being weird. Okay, this to stop the car.
It is important to
fine.
note that the Wren decision also mentioned that, quote, the Constitution prohibits selective enforcement of the law based on considerations such as race. But the constitutional basis for objecting to intentionally discriminatory application of laws is the Equal Protection Clause, not the Fourth Amendment. However, discriminatory application or selective enforcement claims under the Equal Protection Clause are exceptionally challenging to win due to the high standard of proof that is required. The essence of this type of claim, as the Supreme Court explained in the 1886 case of xQcOW versus Hopkins, is that, quote, though the law itself be fair on its face and impartial in appearance, if it is applied and administered by public authority with an evil eye and an unequal hand, so as practically to make unjust and illegal discriminations between persons in similar circumstances, the denial of equal justice is still within the prohibition of the Constitution. While on its face, this statement seems to perfectly describe racial profiling and pretextual traffic stops, to succeed in a discriminatory
In the 1800s?
application claim, an individual must show evidence that the challenged police action was both motivated.
Bro, didn't people go from one place to another in fucking in wooden boats, motherfucker, with like sails and
by
shit at
a
the time?
discriminatory purpose and actually had a discriminatory effect. This means that an individual cannot just show evidence of unequal treatment, but they must also show evidence that the officers intended to discriminate. As the Supreme Court stated in the 1979 case of Personnel
That's almost
Administrator
impossible.
of Massachusetts versus Feeney, quote, discriminatory purpose implies more than awareness of consequences. It implies that the decision maker selected a particular course of action at least in part because of, not merely in spite of, its adverse effects upon an identifiable group. Given this high evidentiary bar, challenges to pretextual stops based on the Equal Protection Clause are rarely successful. And here, a court would almost certainly conclude that the officers were well within their authority to stop Mr. Spaulding, despite the fact that Officer Goodling actually admitted that the stop was pretextual.
My registration is flying somewhere.
Okay, what's your first name?
Got him. I'll get his
Yep.
registration.
Go get it.
What's your first name?
Listen, you see my bag right there?
You're about to be placed under arrest.
Knuckles.
Okay,
go
what is your
vegan,
first name?
eat cock.
Hey, you want to know my name is Kareem?
That's all. That's it, man.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's your last name, Kareem?
Spalding.
Huh?
Spalding.
Where's your wallet?
It's in the car right there in the bag.
Are you okay if I grab it real quick?
Might as well, I can't.
Is there there's nothing illegal in the car, sir?
I can't, I'm not answering questions.
All right. Now you see where that makes us nervous? Because if somebody pulled me over and says, is there anything illegal in the car? I'm going to say no, or I'm going to say yes.
Okay, you could do this. You could have this behavior from hindsight 100% of the time. Congratulations, man. You do something because of a loaded mindset. Oh, I was right. Haha.
Questions.
That's
no
just
worries.
fucking lame.
Do we have a 95 dog available?
I'm being straight up with you, okay? I'm not gonna sit here and try to pull fast ones on you. I got a canine coming. All right? I got a narcotics canine coming. So if there's anything illegal in the car and you want to be honest about it, we can go be honest about it. If not, it's not a big deal. You don't have to answer the questions. I'm not forcing you to answer the questions. All right? But in the meantime, till he gets here, now I gotta start writing tickets.
While continuing to detain Mr. Spaulding in handcuffs, Officer Goodling informs him that they have called a canine unit and they're waiting for it to arrive. In the 2005 case of Illinois versus Caballas, the Supreme Court held that officers did not violate the Fourth Amendment when a dog sniff was performed on the exterior of a citizen's vehicle while he was lawfully seized for a traffic violation because, quote, the use of a well-trained narcotics detection dog during a lawful traffic stop generally does not implicate legitimate privacy interests. Nonetheless, the court clarified in the 2015 case of Rodriguez versus United States that officers cannot prolong or add time to a traffic stop to have a canine sniff the vehicle, quote, absent the reasonable suspicion ordinarily demanded to justify detaining an individual. Rejecting an argument.
So his pre-contextual reason to make the stop that he was already loaded with, he can't use that to stall to get the canine, right? Because that's his thing without anything. It doesn't have any basis.
Argument that an officer may, quote, incrementally prolong a stop to conduct a dog sniff so long as the officer is reasonably diligent in pursuing the traffic-related purpose of the stop. The court explained that because a dog sniff is a measure aimed at detecting evidence of ordinary criminal wrongdoing, it is not fairly characterized as part of the officer's traffic mission, and therefore, independent reasonable suspicion was required to extend the stop. When it comes to deciding whether a traffic stop may be extended for a dog sniff, an individual's refusal to answer questions generally cannot be used as the basis for an officer's determination that reasonable suspicion exists. For instance, in the 1979 case of Michigan versus DiFilippo, the Supreme Court concluded that, quote, while a person may be briefly detained against his will on the basis of reasonable suspicion while pertinent questions are directed to him, the person stopped is not obliged to answer. Answers may not be compelled, and refusal to answer furnishes no basis for an arrest. It should be noted that the court recognized in a footnote to the 1983 case of Collender versus Lawson that, quote, in some circumstances, it is even conceivable that the mere fact that a suspect refuses to answer questions once detained, viewed in the context of the facts that gave rise to reasonable suspicion in the first place, would be enough to provide probable cause. However, the court immediately cautioned that, quote, a court confronted with such a claim would have to evaluate it carefully to make certain that the person arrested was not being penalized for the exercise of his right to refuse to answer.
Yeah, that
Here, the officers claimed that
Mr.
Spaulding was making suspicious movements while still in the vehicle, despite the fact that their body camera footage shows no such movements. And Officer Goodling explicitly stated that Mr. Spaulding's invocation of his right to refuse to answer questions made him nervous. As there was no other basis on which the officers could make a claim of reasonable suspicion, a court would likely conclude that they could not prolong Mr. Spaulding's traffic stop for a dog sniff in this situation.
Here, I'll stay with him. You can head back there and do it.
There it is. See ya. All right, buddy, thank you. Kareem, listen. Before I have to go ripping the car apart to find what the dog's sitting on, all right? You want to tell me where it's at?
I'll answer your question.
Okay.
Why would you even ask? At that point, he has probable cause or whatever. Well, he shouldn't have probable cause, but now he has it.
No, but it's like he's got all these like weird conversations, like city bus conversation. He's got a picture of the. It's like, that's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna read them. I'm thinking sovereign citizen.
What? You don't have to read them for that.
Huh?
Read them.
No, we don't have to read them for that, but
He ain't gonna talk to.
It wouldn't be bad, huh?
He ain't gonna say anything. I would just finish the ticket and call it a day.
Despite the fact that the narcotics detection dog alerted, the officers thoroughly searched the vehicle, including multiple bags and compartments as well as the engine and the trunk, without finding any illicit substances. In general, a police officer has probable cause to search a vehicle when the facts available would cause a reasonably cautious individual to believe that contraband or evidence of a crime is present in the vehicle. In the 2013 case of Florida versus Harris, the Supreme Court held that a drug-sniffing dog's alert can constitute probable cause to search based on, quote, evidence of a dog's satisfactory performance in a certification or training program. The court reasoned that, quote, if a bona fide organization has certified a dog after testing his reliability in a controlled setting, a court can presume that the dog's alert provides probable cause to search.
Guys,
the same is
don't be weird about this, guys. The cops being weird about this, okay? But this seems reasonable, okay? A guys, what is bona fide? Does it mean like what does that mean, bona fide? Like third party, good, like reliable, outside counsel type shit? What does that mean? Believable, legitimate body. Okay. So basically, what they're saying is that after the dog is trained, they get analyzed by another party. It says, yeah, if there's no trick or whatever the fuck in the training, and it's legitimate, right?
It's true, even in the absence of formal certification, if the dog has recently and successfully completed a training program that evaluated his proficiency in locating drugs. The court also stated that a criminal defendant must be provided with the opportunity to challenge the dog's reliability by contesting the adequacy of a certification or training program, offering evidence of the dog or handler's history in the field, or that the circumstances surrounding the particular alert rendered it untrustworthy, such as if the officer cued the dog, or if the team was working under unfamiliar conditions. Ultimately, the Harris court determined that, quote, the question, similar to every inquiry into probable cause, is whether all the facts surrounding a dog's alert, viewed through the lens of common sense, would make a reasonably prudent person think that a search would reveal contraband or evidence of a crime. A sniff is up to snuff when it meets that test. In reaching this conclusion, the court expressly discounted the importance of a dog's field performance, and instead recognized controlled testing environments as offering a better measure of a dog's reliability. While a 2014 study of Polish police dogs found that in 1,219 experimental searching tests conducted in controlled testing environments, 87.7% of indications were correct and 5.3% were false, the accuracy rate drastically fell when searching outside and inside cars, dropping to 63.5% and 57.9% respectively. False positives can also be intentionally caused by the dog's handler. For instance, the handler might cue the dog to alert, or the dog may falsely alert out of a desire to please its handler, or receive the positive reinforcement it has come to associate with alerting. And so it is certainly...
Chat, even after a third party has examined the dog, couldn't the police have each department a weird thing a very specific thing that alerts a dog that even an analyst couldn't find after trying to getting the dog reviewed?
Possible that the dog's
they could
alert
just
here was a
troll
false positive. However, given the legal framework surrounding drug-sniffing dogs and vehicle searches, absent any evidence that this particular dog was unreliable, the court would almost certainly conclude that probable cause existed to search the vehicle, even though no narcotics were discovered.
Which one are you writing it for?
The lane change.
Okay.
Well, like I said, if you were to pursue, basically what this means is that they didn't have the reasonable suspicion or whatever the fuck to make the dog come through or whatever. So even if they had probable cause for all this, the whole thing is a mistake because the initial point is a mistake.
Okay?
Since the root
you're being issued a uniform traffic
the rest
citation.
Doesn't matter anymore.
The officers issued Mr. Spaulding a ticket for changing lanes in the intersection, as well as a warning for speeding, and allowed him to leave. Mr. Spaulding ultimately pled no contest to the traffic offense and paid a $197 fine. Overall, Officers Goodling and Glatthorn get an F for conducting a pretextual stop of Mr. Spaulding's vehicle, blatantly lying about Mr. Spaulding's behavior in order to fabricate suspicion, and extending the traffic stop to bring in a narcotics detection dog without reasonable suspicion to do so. From the moment Officer Goodling approached the vehicle, he repeatedly made statements about Mr. Spaulding's allegedly suspicious behavior, when all he did was reach for a piece of paper when asked for his license and registration, and start to roll up his window before rolling it down when Officer Goodling told him to roll his window up-down. Once Mr. Spaulding was removed from his vehicle.
I feel like you mentioned what I'm saying. The other guy came in later on, right, with the kid on, and he said, just give him the ticket and fucking move on, right? And the fact that he had to set up the other officer is kind of like, I feel like one is worse than the other for sure.
Vehicle, the officers extended the traffic stop to call a canine unit based on his suspicious behavior and the fact that he invoked his right to refuse to answer their questions. It also seems that in order to justify waiting for the canine unit, the officers decided to write Mr. Spaulding a ticket so that the canine unit would arrive before they completed the traffic-related purpose of the stop. It is clear that these officers had a basic understanding of the constitutional law surrounding traffic stops, but instead of following it, they manipulated it to violate Mr. Spaulding's rights. agents. This sort of behavior is not only an appalling abuse of power, but it also serves to further alienate police officers from the communities they are meant to serve and whose rights they are meant to protect. That being said, the blame cannot be solely placed on these officers, as the current legal framework surrounding traffic stops allows for and often legitimizes conduct such as this. As long as an officer's subjective intentions cannot be considered when determining if an individual's rights were violated, encounters
It's
like
dog
this
shit.
one
I mean,
will
it
continue
is
to
a
occur.
little
As
loophole.
for Mr.
It's trash.
Spaulding, I cannot rightly assign a grade to someone who is simply a victim of a pretextual stop by officers looking for any reason to search his vehicle. Mr. Spaulding attempted to comply with the officer's orders, communicated that he did not consent to searches, and repeatedly invoked his right to remain silent. But taking these steps could not protect him from the officer's clear and openly stated agenda of searching for firearms and narcotics. It is obvious from his demeanor that this interaction was deeply distressing to Mr. Spaulding, and I have no doubt that it has forever tainted his view of police officers. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out my second channel for even more police interaction content.
Nah,
W plus ratio.
ratio what, man? You're nobody. Yeah, we've seen this one, Dilly. It's a good one, though.